The Sunday Politics invites a shock jock, American conspiracy theorist, on the programme and has problems shutting him up. Responsible journalism or infotainment?
We have an idiot on the programme today. Coming up in just 20 minutes.
You will not stop the Republic. Humanity is awakening. Infowars.com. No, you guys are...
And if robotic cameras are taking over from humans, are they really meant to appear in shot like this? Last week, Watford hosted the annual conference of the Bilderberg Group, a gathering of influential people, many from the worlds of politics and business. You may not have heard about it, though, because this is an organisation that does not court publicity or host news conferences. Media coverage, therefore, is minimal, and that frustrates viewers such as Marie Anderson, who wrote, "I would like to know why, as a mainstream channel, you have not covered the secretive Bilderberg conference. This is of huge interest to people, and I find it bizarre, to say the least, that you have not covered it in your news bulletins." One BBC programme which did address the conference was last weekend's Sunday Politics, which invited on the American radio host, author and conspiracy theorist Alex Jones. His discussion of the Bilderberg Group with journalist David Aaronovitch provided a lively encounter.
What have I discovered about Bilderberg? The BBC was able to get the documents decades ago that they helped found the euro, which was actually a Nazi German plan to take over countries economically. No, that's on record.
You let him speak now.
Well, sure. I saw one of your ministers say this, though.
No,
Alex, I'm here.
It's tyranny.
No, shut up.
Infowars.com.
I'm here to testify that your head was not cut off. The problem is that conspiracy theories like this are believed in.
Hey, listen, I'm here to warn people. You keep telling me to shut up. This isn't a game. Okay, our government in the U.S. is building FEMA camps. We have an NDAA where they disappear people now. You have this arrest for public safety, life in prison.
You are the worst person I've ever interviewed.
No, it's basically off with their heads, disappear
David,
them,
thank you for being with us.
Infowars.com.
It's gone 11:30. You're watching the Sunday Politics. We have an idiot on the programme today. Coming up in just 20 minutes.
You will not stop the Republic. Humanity is awakening. Infowars.com. No, you guys are...
The interview soon went viral, as they say, with both the programme's presenter and editor pointing people towards it on Twitter. One of many who watched it around the world was Mike Powell, who emailed, "As an American, I must apologise for Alex Jones's crude, disruptive behaviour. He is viewed as a joke and a loon here as well, and I only hope your viewers do not judge us all based on his lunacy." But others felt the Sunday Politics and its presenter were to blame. Gordon McGinn from Troon emailed, "Andrew Neil concluded the interview with banal school playground gesticulations, infantile mockery. He seemed to lack any interest or ability in sensitive questioning and seemed singularly intent on ridicule. His behaviour completely stripped the programme of any serious investigative journalism." And Caroline McLeod agreed, asking, "Could you please inform me whose idea it was to interview Alex Jones about the Bilderberg meetings, as they must have known his reputation for being rude and obnoxious. There are plenty of coherent and knowledgeable people who would have given far superior interviews, but the BBC seems to want to ridicule those who have justifiable questions to ask." Now it's time for the interviewer to turn interviewee, as Andrew Neil is with me now. Andrew, you know, a lot of you have said, look, why did you invite this man on? His reputation is widely known. You knew he'd behave this way.
Because he regards himself as a leading expert on Bilderberg. He was there, he was outside the Bilderberg conference for most of its duration. He's been to others in the past. He has a lot of people who follow him on this issue. He says he knows what he's talking about. We wanted him to put the case for why this was a global conspiracy.
But in the terms of a live programme, given he'd been on Piers Morgan and gone off the rails in the same way, it does look to a lot of people like it was infotainment. You'd get 6 minutes of great TV, people would watch it on YouTube afterwards. That's what she got. But he didn't have any revelations to make, and you could have got other people who would have.
Well, no one I've interviewed in Bilderberg, and he's not the only one, has ever actually given me any revelations. They've got lots of conspiracy theories. They may or may not be true, but they haven't presented me with the evidence. He is regarded by a lot of people who believe Bilderberg to be a conspiracy to be their spokesperson. I knew that it was going to be hard to make sure that David Aaronovitch, who was also on the programme with him, giving the other point of view, would get a fair hearing. And I thought my job as a BBC presenter was to make sure that both sides had a fair say. That proved to be not only too difficult to succeed because he just kept on shouting David Aaronovitch down. What I hadn't anticipated was he would then turn on me as well and start shouting me down. And that took us into interesting, uncharted territory.
I watched it a couple of times, and, you know, both you and David Aaronovitch are very knowing. David Aaronovitch starts off kind of very calm, makes a few kind of jibes. At one stage, you kind of join in, you know, and say, you know, is it a conspiracy? Are you part of the conspiracy? I think you're not part of the conspiracy. And then you have to call him an idiot. You have to tell him to shut up. Now, again, some of the complaints were specifically about the fact that you end up using that language, which looks like sneering, which looks like you're setting it up as a bit of entertainment.
First of all, the interview began with perfectly legitimate questions. Could you explain why Bilderberg is a conspiracy? What has it done? We continued in that vein, but got nowhere. And he then just went off on a rant, which in many cases had nothing to do with Bilderberg. He then not only began to rant over David Aaronovitch, he began to rant over me too, as I was trying to link to the programme. I was quite worried that it was going to turn very, very nasty. I mean, he was turning very hostile and aggressive, and I didn't want that to happen, so I kept smiling throughout. I tried to make a bit of a joke of it.
That's what
we do, and that was to try. And also, by this time, he was off camera, and actually his mic had been shut off, but he was shouting so much that they picked it up on my mic. So I thought the best way to handle it was to make light of it, to say, well, we've got a bit of an idiot on the programme today shouting these things. Well, you say that. Well, hold on. You say they've offended a lot of people. I'm sure they've offended some, and there's some people who also like to be offended. I have never had a reaction to anything I've broadcast in my life like this. Positive reaction.
So the loony gesture you don't have a problem with, you don't think that was
It was an attempt to keep making the thing light and not to let it go too heavy.
One brief thing, Charlie Skelton was originally booked on the show, and he wrote a piece saying, before the show I told the producers what would happen, this isn't journalism, this is sport. And he thinks it was an attack on measured thinking.
Yeah, well, look, all programmes have a range of people they think of inviting on, and they then make a decision who's to come on. The ones who are not chosen to come on can sometimes be disgruntled, and I'd file Mr. Skelton under D for disgruntled.
And there's nothing at all about that programme with hindsight you would have changed?
No, I don't. I mean, it's not something I'd like to do every week, and I wouldn't like to see Mr. Jones again in a hurry. But every now and then, programmes have to take risks. It's a live programme, and you take risks. And certainly, judged by the people who watched it, it was different, it was interesting, and it shows you what can happen in a culture where people just shout at each other. And so much of American media now is people shouting at each other. And if you want a lesson, probably of a road Britain shouldn't be going, that's a good 6 minutes to watch.
Andrew Neil, thank you very much.
Thank you.